Hello, I'm Eve from Calm and Bright. You can find out some more about me and the company if you'd like on our first intro video. I've been lucky enough to have helped families all over the place get solid sleep for 5 years now. Now Slumbersac are helping me reach you too. This video is part of a series aimed to put solid, happy sleep within your reach. I do hope I can help you. In this video, we're going to cover some practical steps to get your 2 to 6-year-old to go happily to sleep by themselves and to stay in bed all night. Please rest assured that I know firsthand what I'm talking about. I once had to put my 2.5-year-old son back in his bed 62 times before he'd even fallen asleep for the night. It's important to first say that some problems are very entrenched and complex and need a deeper digging to resolve. With such cases, I'll have to consider a spectrum of factors, including the parenting style, the parent's own experience of childhood, the character of the child, and every aspect of the child's waking day and night. For these cases, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and you'll really need to work with me on fixing it. However, there are some pieces of advice and guidance that I have learned over the years that families have found really helpful in their own right. These steps and tips alone have made some astonishing changes for some of my clients, and I hope you can join them on the other side of sleep deprivation sooner rather than later. Before you start any kind of training, please read the Before You Begin document and our terms and conditions of business to make sure you've ruled out any factors that would prevent you starting or from having success with sleep teaching. So let's not waste a moment. I remember how it felt to be this tired. Let's look at how we get a child in their big bed from 2 to 6 to fall asleep happily in it and stay in it all night. Okay, we want to start by having a chat with our child. We're going to excitedly and happily explain that things are going to be different from tonight, that they're going to be able to sleep all night in their bed without mummy and daddy, and so many good things are going to happen as a result. Mummy is going to be able to think up exciting things to do together when she's not tired, like build a den, bake, go swimming, and they are going to feel so much happier, not grumpy, and full of energy for places like the park and soft play. There will also be less mummy shouting and crying, if applicable. It certainly was for me. We're then going to explain about how when they do stay in their bed all night, they're going to be able to get hold of that particular gift they've wanted for a while. Go shopping for it together the day you plan to start. One mum recently had a frozen dress hanging up but out of reach in her daughter's bedroom for about 4 nights until that happy morning when she managed it. Put the gift on full view but out of reach, so that might be hanging up on the wall or up on a shelf. If early starts are a problem, I recommend some sort of grow clock so that they know when night ends and morning begins. It's important they know that they're not to disturb you before that time that you decide, unless of course it's for a genuine reason. And that means that anything before that time, and yes, even 10 minutes, isn't a full night, and they don't get their toy that morning. The reason why that even 10 minutes counts is that where else do you draw the line? If 6 AM is your time and you permit them to come in and start their day at 10 to 6, what's stopping them wanting to start the day at 5 instead? And how do you explain the difference? On day 1, leave a bit more time for bedtime. Before you start, get rid of the normal objections first. So if they normally protest, they need a wee, encourage your child to have one last thing. If they get thirsty, have a drink by the bed. If they complain of getting cold, have a blanket ready. Tell them all of these things have happened and therefore they won't need you in the night to do them now. Tell them the new steps that you're going to be taking. Come up with 3 to 5 simple things that take no more than 15 minutes in total and that you can stick to doing happily each night. They might, for example, be, right, we're going to put on our pyjamas, hop into bed together, I'll read you a story, we'll say goodnight to the birds, and then mummy's going to give you a kiss and leave. This is delivered happily and confidently by you, not apologetically and as if their permission is sought. There's a great difference in tone. Once you've gone through the steps, tell them that you have. Walk them through exactly what's just happened, and then offer a happy kiss and confidently leave. You'll in all likelihood have to feign this, but I promise you that even though they're upset, it's going to work. You should know that we're not taking any action at all when they're calling out from their room. Whatever it is they are saying which induces guilt or doubt in us, we're only taking action when they're coming out of their room, unless of course you feel they're in danger or at risk of being ill, and see the 2 documents I mentioned earlier on to check you've got that straight. The first time they come out of their room, we're going to just say to them in a very bland, simple, assertive but kind sentence, "It's time to sleep now, darling." That's it. We're going to take them by the hand. We're not going to lift them. It's something we want them to be a part of. And we're going to lead them back to the bed. I should say here that if they actually physically refuse to go and sit down on the floor, then of course we're going to have to help them move. But let's try and get them to do it themselves. When we get them to bed, we're not going to re-kiss them or tuck them in again or offer any other kind of fuss. We're just going to lead them back in and calmly leave. I highly recommend you keep a note, perhaps on your phone. I remember having a little bit of paper and pencil and doing some tally charts when I was doing Finley. And this is of the time that you start and of the number of times you put them back in. I can almost guarantee you that if you are consistent, you behave in the same unaffected way each time without putting onto them your guilt, frustration, anger, sadness, exhaustion, that the number of times and length of time it takes will reduce each time until you eventually have a child who happily falls asleep and stays there until a reasonable hour in the morning. This should really only take you 3 to 5 days. Expect to have a day though where once you've cracked it, they question whether you're really serious and give you another little test. This often happens around day 5 and is called the kickback. It's not the teaching going backwards or not working, and it's really important you understand that this is where sleep teaching often goes wrong and parents give up. They think, we've done all this hard work and now it's going backwards. It's not. It's simply a normal reaction that I see all the time, whereby your child wants to know if you're really sure that this is going to be the way from now on. If you come back to them firm, sure, consistent and unshakable in your actions and response, the night after that kickback night, you should be right out the other end of the sleep teaching and into brighter and better things. I wish you all the luck in the world in getting this sorted once and for all. Please let me know if you do.